Peace, everyone. Welcome to the 2025 Year of the Snake Decode. This is the extended cut, an esoteric exploration and exclusive presentation. If you wish to take notes, please grab your supplies now, get something to drink, get comfortable, and enjoy this trip. Please remember to like, share, subscribe at the end before you go. Okay, let's begin. A Sanskrit word meaning literally well-being, which has many variables depending upon the application. As the serpent is, cosmologically, the symbol of the creative energizing force of the Supreme Spirit, the swastika is representative of the life force being set in motion to initiate the cyclic processes of nature. Both images are thus closely interrelated. The swastika signifies a union of principles, the infusion of spirit and matter, which forms an essential aspect of relativity, namely, energy and matter are one and interconvertible. The ancient Hindu seers depicted the original cosmic creative process with somewhat more sensitivity, poetic visualization, and direct insight than does modern physics. The Hindus saw subtle forces and preceding energies crystallizing or condensing into gross matter. We have contrived the Big Bang Theory, a typically Western aggressive concept, whereas the Hindu termed it the churning of the Milky Ocean. This churning is represented geometrically in tantric ritual as a four-armed cross within a circle. The cross is meant to be imagined as oscillating backwards and forwards. The circle represents the universe in its potential unmanifested state prior to creation and is called in Hinduism Brahmanda. The Hindus believe also that the universe periodically dissolves and is then recreated. The period between dissolution and recreation is known as pralaya, or time of rest or neutrality between creative periods. The four arms of the cross are known as the four arms of Vishnu, the supreme deity in Vedic times who later became the preserver and supporter of life in the Hindu Trinity and can be equated with the Holy Ghost or Mother in Christianity. As a god, Vishnu's role is to support the order and balance throughout the created world, Dharma. This is the mystic cross within the circle, which later found its way into all religions as the Egyptian cross, the Chinese Tao, the cross of the Rosicrucians, and the Christian cross. The left-angled swastika symbolizes the centripetal force related to the pull of gravity, the force which ties us to mental stagnation, decay, and dissolution. The right-angled swastika symbolizes the centrifugal force, which strives to release all things from the gravitational pull and propels us towards mental activity, growth, and evolution. It is the opposition between these two forces, which can be regarded as contraction and expansion, or attraction and repulsion, that binds the whole of creation. This duality or conflict of opposites is reflected in every facet of life. By the balancing of these two polarities, we achieve well-being, a state without conflict. This condition, as any individual knows, is only a sometimes thing during the course of day-to-day living. The point of neutrality or perfect balance between the two forces is equilibrium. Consequently, no conflict between negative and positive. If it were to become an actual, consistent condition, the very purpose of life itself, which is growth towards perfection through the struggle between opposites or growth towards total order, would be canceled out and the evolutionary process would cease to be of significance. The cross at rest symbolizes that state of perfect balance or equilibrium, pralaya. In Vedic lore, these principles of attraction, neutrality, and repulsion are encompassed within the three gunas or qualities inherent in the forces originally symbolized by the Vedic gods, which we will view momentarily. In atomic physics, they are represented as proton, neutron, electron, the three elements of all structure throughout nature. Balance and dharma throughout the manifested universe presupposes an opposition between two forces, i.e. attraction and repulsion. When manifested, these forces become, in scientific terms, magnetism and electricity. Electricity as the centrifugal male force and magnetism as the centripetal female force act and react via a process of flux that is mirrored in the activity of all nature, from the breathing of plants, the action of the human lungs, biorhythms, circadian rhythms, the flow of energy in a dynamo, to the expansion and contraction of the earth itself. Once again, it is the oscillating motion of the cross within the circle which symbolizes that forthcoming conflict between positive evolutionary forces and negative dissolutionary forces during life on earth that gives birth to the swastika in both its configurations, i.e. right-angled or left-angled. The Hindus believe also that the universe periodically dissolves and is then recreated. This view actually parallels modern scientific thinking, which presumes that the universe is evolving towards final destruction when the inevitable pull of gravity slows down the rate of expansion. The system will then reverse its motion and begin to contract, becoming once again a great ball of fire, and another Big Bang will eventually trigger a new creative era. The dissolutionary process is labeled by science the Big Crunch. The entire creative scenario is again more descriptively labeled by the Hindus as the breathing out of Brahma, or in the Christian context, God creating the world. The dissolutionary process is seen as the breathing in of Brahma, or God destroying the world. This cyclic process of cosmic periodic involution and dissolution is symbolized by the swastika, depending upon its direction of movement. In Hinduism, Om is the primal sound or vibration accompanying the creative process. In the Christian Gospel of St. John, it is known as the Word. In the beginning was the Word. Science has confirmed that the universe is filled with a constant noise, believed to be overtones of the Big Bang, echoing through the vastness of space, according to the materialists. The swastika is also associated with the elephant-headed god of expression, Ganesh, whose symbol is the Sanskrit word Om, with which any student of yoga is familiar. The swastika was evident on the seals of Mohenjo-daro in the Indus Valley, as well as in the Rongo tablets on Easter Island. It was found in Troy, in Mesopotamia, and is still used by the Navajo and Hopi Indians in the USA in their rituals and artwork. In ancient Egypt, the crux ansanta, or Ankh, is a transposition of the Indian symbol with similar implications, the infusion of energy and matter, the two components of life. The origin of the swastika has become a source of speculation for Western researchers throughout time. Mentioned in the Vedas, the Upanishads, and the Mahabharata, the symbol has its origin with the Vedic Aryans, its meaning being clearly defined by the Nagas, or Aryan initiates. Buddhism, like Hinduism from which it emerged, is also a scientific teaching, and the swastika borrowed from the Hindus is a symbol of esoteric Buddhism, and as such was placed over the heart of the Buddha, stamped on the breast of departed initiates, and planted wherever Buddhists have left their mark. It is regarded by the Jains, a branch group of Buddhists, as the emblematic symbol of a perfectly evolved being, a Siddha or initiate. Initiation in Buddhism necessitates this realization of the 49 truths or fires relating to universal forces. This knowledge, once obtained and understood, cancels out the need for rebirth or reincarnation into the school of life. The image of the Buddha's foot, known as the Tripada, shows on each of the toes of the swastika. The symbol is seen On the underparts or pads in a left-handed or anti-clockwise configuration, which would become a right-angled or clockwise image if an imprint of the foot was imagined. The architect of Nazi Germany was not Adolf Hitler, but a man called Professor Hans Hochschild, the geopolitical genius involved in the occult. He recognized in Hitler certain gifts that could be further developed and used to project Germany with powerful force towards the ideal of the Superman laid down in the philosophy of Nietzsche, and to revitalize the ancient Aryan heritage. The grand plan was not only to achieve this stage of evolution in the shortest possible time, but also to eliminate Marxism, the opposing principle or force relative to this philosophy. Hitler was initiated into the occult by Dietrich Eckart, one of the 7 founding members of the Nazi Party, a supreme adept of the arts and rituals of magic, and the central figure in a powerful circle of occultists known as the Thule Group. Hitler's gifts were amplified to become instruments by which 60 million people were mesmerized. To Germany, he was more a messiah than a political leader. His speeches became mantras or magical sounds. His words, phrasing, and delivery clutched hard at the emotional centers of millions. Backing this up was the constant confrontation with the swastika. Its image, made more powerful by the angle at which it was presented, affected the deepest centers of human intuition and acted in what is called in Hinduism a yantra, a design to stimulate consciousness. The Nazi regime was first of all an occult order, with its underlying motive being the achievement of human perfection through the destruction of the old decadent order to create a new dimension in human potentiality. The recovery of this rare wisdom was of primary consideration to the elite of the Third Reich. It was seen as the key element in the proposed transformation of the nation. This idea was at the heart of the movement, and in accordance with this scheme, the right-angled swastika was employed. The symbol of Siva and metamorphosis. The purpose? Evolution. It was the idealism behind its use that became misdirected. The image was used to inflame rather than to instruct or reveal truth. That was the default. In Vedic lore, these principles of attraction, neutrality, and repulsion are encompassed within the 3 gunas, or qualities inherent in the forces originally symbolized by the Vedic gods. Surya, sun, the creative agent; Vayu, air, the preserving agent; and Agni, fire, the destructive agent, which, in post-Vedic times, they became Brahma, Vishnu, and Siva, respectively. The 3 gunas are Raja Guna, which is creative desire, and Brahma; Sattva Guna, which is preservation, cohesion, stability, complacency, which is Vishnu; and Tamaguna, which is transformation, challenge, and destruction, and Siva. In atomic physics, they are represented as proton, neutron, and electron, the 3 elements of all structure throughout nature. On Siva temples throughout India, the right-angled swastika is ever present. Human psychology is reducible to not only the constituents of the atom, but to the primal forces which imbue the atom and ourselves with our very nature. The abstract quality of symbols such as the swastika renders it difficult for cerebral intelligence to grasp the full concept and implications of their purpose, which is to awaken the more subliminal centers relating to feelings and intuitive responses. This serves to further illustrate the mentality of past ages and acts as a mean of measuring our own cognitive processes in relationship to those of that time. 5 is relative to the law of potentiality, which shows that nature tends to build on a system of five-fold construction: 5 toes on each foot, 5 fingers on each hand, 5 senses. This principle in Hinduism is called Panchabhutas and has to do with the 5 states of creative substances and their relationship to the 5 sensory faculties. These substances are as follows: light, relative to the sense of sight; air, relative to the sense of smell; sound, relative to the sense of hearing; liquid, relative to the sense of taste; solid, relative to the sense of touch. When all of the 5 senses function in harmony, well-being is the result. To a Hindu or Buddhist initiate, well-being in its highest sense would mean enlightenment attained. Number 5 in Hebrew is he, as in head. There was no graphic sign in Hebrew for E since their alphabet contained no vowels, but the Phoenicians took the consonant he, which is equivalent to the English consonant H, and changed the symbol, which you could see at the bottom left. After 900 BC, the Greeks borrowed the sign, reversed it to E, called it epsilon, and used it for their short E vowel in order to differentiate it from their long E vowel. Like 5, E is open. It is open to talk, sing, and speak, so it is a letter of communication of words. The E is energetic, restless, and needs something worthwhile to keep it occupied. We see it in the sense words: see, feel, sleep, speech, teeth. The E is progressive. It is open to the future, or to the right. It doesn't look back, but looks forward to new experiences. Since it is the 5th letter, the 5 senses predominate, and sensuality makes the E more worldly than spiritual, but those who do seek the higher level become idealistic and very intuitive. All over India, the right-angled swastika is commonly regarded as a sign of good luck. Good luck is related to the literal translation of swastika, which is well-being, and is understood in its mundane aspect by most people. The idea of well-being originates from the principle of balance, a harmonious relationship and union between mind and body. This allows healthy growth, whereas imbalance creates illness and chaos. The swastika is widely used as a talisman to counteract possible negative or demonic influences. It is particularly evident during weddings, that being the union of male and female principles. New business enterprises may feature also Ganesh, the elephant-headed god, who in this aspect governs prosperity, wealth, good fortune, or well-being. The origin of the swastika has become a source of speculation for Western researchers throughout time. Mentioned in the Vedas, the Upanishads, and the Mahabharata, the symbol has its origin with the Vedic Aryans, and its meaning clearly defined by the Nagas or Aryan initiates. The serpent and the swastika are siblings. The serpent as the energizing creative force of the universe, the swastika as that force in motion. Both are fundamental aspects of Vedic cosmology, and the cosmic serpent, Anantasesha, symbolic of the timeless, eternal creative principle, displays the swastika on its multi-hooded image. The symbol reflects the wisdom of its original architects, those who understood that the union of principles is the underlying law to all creation from the cosmos to the essential atom. Throughout India, the image of the swastika is as ubiquitous as the image of the serpent. It appears on Siva temples, the doors of homes, as a decoration on mobile food stalls, in folk art and on rugs, and exists as a significant design or yantra at ceremonial occasions, particularly weddings. To the Western world, however, the swastika is probably the most disturbing image that has ever been associated with a political regime. The Nazi Party of Germany used its powerful pattern to full advantage during the Second World War. Surrounding their use of the image, there exists a widespread misconception concerning the representation of the symbol. It is commonly thought that the motif of the Third Reich was an inverted swastika, a deviation from the original ancient design. The point needs clarification. Regardless of the swastika's configuration, right or left angled, the symbol's significance does not suffer. It merely indicates two opposing principles, evolution and dissolution. The swastika has both spiritual and social implications. Its use by millions of people in India for ceremonial and decorative purposes is primarily a sociological application. Its esoteric meaning is of the domain of the scholar rather than the layman, of the initiate rather than the priest. Like the serpent, the swastika crystallizes fundamental principles relating to the activity of universal forces and their relationship to terrestrial life, and was designed to evoke an intuitive realization or response rather than an intellectual understanding. The inadequacy of language and logic fails to justify their significance in simplistic terms.